At a wedding, he referred to me as just a baby carrier. Little did he know, I seized the moment, took the mic, and revealed the truth behind it all. I have always found weddings to be quite unappealing, not due to any disdain for love. I once held a deep belief in it with every part of my soul, but because weddings unveil truths about people that they often fail to see, particularly when you're not the one in the spotlight. On a balmy May afternoon, we made our way to the venue. All around, a tapestry of white and gold unfolded, shimmering gently beneath the warm embrace of the California sun. His brother Thomas had left no stone unturned. As Richard deftly adjusted his cufflinks, a gesture honed through countless occasions, I cradled our daughter, Lily, on my hip, a picture of our shared life unfolding in that moment. At just 7 months old, with rosy cheeks and a blissful innocence, she remained blissfully unaware of the tension that quietly lingered just beneath the surface. I was reluctant to arrive. Lily was teething, and I found myself utterly drained, while Richard had been distant and curt with me for weeks on end. Yet he maintained that resolute, unwavering tone of his. We're not igniting a tale of conflict. Day marks the joyous occasion of my brother's wedding. Present yourself well. With determination, I gathered my hair, slipped into the navy blue dress he had chosen, and rehearsed my smile in the mirror until it felt effortless. We settled into our seats close to the front, just behind Thomas and his new bride. Richard radiated with a sense of pride. He always held a deep admiration for his brother, perhaps even more than he ever did for me. I gently placed Lily on my lap and extended my hand toward Richard. My fingers gently grazed his. He recoiled as if I had seared him. He leaned in, drawing near to my ear, his voice a whisper yet sharp as a blade. Please, spare me the embarrassment. Today, you are merely a vessel for carrying the little one. Present yourself beautifully. Remain silent. And just like that, I felt empty, as if someone had carved out every trace of humanity within me, leaving only a shell behind. I chuckled softly, wishing to remain unseen, wishing to remain unheard. I cast my eyes over the other wives, each one polished and composed, pondering whether they, like me, had been transformed into mere vessels for children and convenience. I held back my tears. Not at that moment. As the speeches commenced, I remained still, enveloped in silence. His mother began, her voice thick with emotion, sharing tales of the brothers' childhood adventures. His father chimed in with a wry wit that elicited courteous chuckles. Next, it was Richard's moment to shine. He wove tales of loyalty, family, and tradition. His voice resonated through the air. Then, out of the blue, the microphone found its way into my hands. Would you care to share a thought or two? Thomas smiled, unaware of the tempest brewing within me. Richard pivoted towards me with a sudden intensity. You don't have to, he said, his voice carrying an air of authority rather than solace. Yet I remained standing, a smile gracing my lips. I grasped the microphone as if it were an unfamiliar object, its chill sending a shiver through my fingers, feeling clumsy and out of place, its weight more substantial than I had anticipated. My heart thudded so loudly in my ears that I nearly missed the hush that enveloped the room. Through the reception hall, every gaze was fixed upon me, and Richard's eyes blazed with intensity. Well, I began, my voice not quite as strong as I had hoped. I took a deep breath, gathered my thoughts, and made another attempt. I'm grateful for the opportunity to share my thoughts with you. Though it wasn't in my plans, weddings are indeed moments that linger, aren't they? Who are they? Moments that linger in our minds. A handful of courteous inclinations of the head. As I recalled my wedding, I cast a fleeting glance at Richard, whose expression stiffened into a rigid smile. I found myself at the age of 26. Filled with anticipation. Filled with promise. I believed I was uniting with a man who truly understood me. One person shifted in their seat, a hint of discomfort flickering across their face. Of the tables. I grinned broadly, as though this were a jest, and I was merely getting started. I recall the moment, feeling that this marked the start of our journey together. Ah, the wonders of your imagination. I see it dances in your mind, doesn't it? Sunday mornings filled with the warmth of coffee and the gentle presence of a baby. Names murmured in the shadows, a gentle grip on your hand when weariness sets in, and your shirt marked by the remnants of formula. A gentle whisper flowed through the space. Richard tilted his head, a subtle signal of caution. Yet there are moments when As time unfolds, you find yourself awakening years later, only to discover that you've become merely a fixture in the room. You have stepped away from the partnership. You play a supporting role. Or a vessel. In the midst of the meal, a fork tumbled and struck the plate with a sharp clatter. The hush grew thicker. Only Lily chatted softly in the background. Naive, unknowing. My hand quivered as I gripped the mic with increasing intensity. I fixed my gaze on Richard now. And sometimes, the person you chose to share your life with, the one who once declared that you brought out their best, will recoil when you extend your hand, not out of anger, but because they've lost sight of your humanity. My voice wavered just a bit, yet I pressed on undeterred. Thomas and Claire. I gazed upon the bride and groom. May you always remember to find each other amidst the noise, the chaos, and the challenges that life brings. For when you cease to truly see one another, the essence of marriage fades away. It's a captivating display. With that, I returned the microphone and stepped off the stage. My palms glistened with sweat. I avoided eye contact with everyone. I reached out for Lily, who was now with Richard's cousin, and embraced her tightly against my chest. Richard chose not to accompany me. Initially, no. As he stepped out, it was behind the building, close to the parking lot, where the lingering scent of champagne and sweat faded into a hush, replaced by the refreshing coolness of the air. What on earth was that? He hissed, his eyes wide, brimming with a simmering intensity. Are you out of your mind? I spoke the truth, my voice barely above a whisper. He approached, looming large. You have just cast me into a moment of great embarrassment before my whole family. I gazed up at him. I made sure they remembered my presence. His nostrils expanded, taking in the world around him. Return to your dwelling. We shall converse again soon. He chose not to extend a hand with Lily. He averted his gaze, completely ignoring her presence. He turned and walked back into the celebration, as if he hadn't just left a woman unraveling in his shadow. As I navigated the quiet roads home, with Lily peacefully slumbering in the back seat, a wave of emotion washed over me. For the first time in years, I allowed the tears to flow freely, unburdened by guilt. The dawn following the wedding, Richard carried on as if the events of the previous day had been mere whispers in the wind. He filled his cup with coffee, pressed a gentle kiss to Lily's forehead, and scrolled through his phone as if it were merely another Sunday unfolding before him. I lingered by the sink, observing him as if he were an unfamiliar figure who had unexpectedly entered my kitchen. My body still ached from carrying Lily, my chest tight from the sleepless nights that lingered like shadows. Yet, his gaze never met mine. Not quite. He ceased to do so any longer. I'm going to the gym, he declared, his voice devoid of inflection, not pausing for a response. Remember, my parents will be arriving at 3. Let's not revisit what happened last night. I blinked. Is that all there is? He took a moment to gather his thoughts. What more lies beyond? I remained silent. There was no purpose to it all. Richard was not one to offer apologies. It's not my path. Once upon a time, we were not as we are now. When we first crossed paths, he exuded a magnetic charm, a sharpness in his words, and a quick wit that danced in the air, the kind of confidence that envelopes a space. He observed the world around him in those days. The manner in which I gnawed at my straw during moments of anxiety. The tales that captured my heart yet remained unfinished. How I laughed with every fiber of my being. Yet, everything transformed once we tied the knot. Gently, in the beginning, he started to refine the way I expressed myself during our dinners. He ceased to grasp my hand in the open air. Then, when I found myself expecting, he appeared to be more annoyed than anything else, not angry or cruel, just distant. It felt as though my worth had diminished, as I found myself weighed down, moving with less agility, and perpetually fatigued. As Lily stepped into the room, he could hardly contain his embrace. He expressed his fear of doing it wrong, yet the months slipped by. He chose not to venture forth once more. In the beginning, I took on all the tasks, the feedings, the laundry, the late-night cries, the doctor visits. When I inquired of him once whether he could change a diaper, he chuckled heartily. "You excel in that area." Innate intuition. It was not a matter of instinct. It was a weariness that seeped into the bones. It was a tale of endurance. As the afternoon sun cast its warm glow, his parents arrived, and I donned the familiar smile that had become my constant companion for months. His mother remarked on my silence during the wedding. "You didn't say too much," she remarked with a playful tone, taking a sip of her wine. "Exquisitely delightful." Your words sparked quite the conversation among the crowd. Richard's jaw tightened. I gave a courteous nod. At times, the truth can stir a sense of unease in others. She paused, her eyelids fluttering momentarily. "Ah, so it was truth, was it?" Her voice held no malice, merely a passive quality that lingered in the air. Disapproval that pierces deeper than the loudest cry. I found myself pondering whether she had ever dared to voice her thoughts against her husband. Most likely not. Women in their family learned to wear smiles that masked the bruises, even when the pain lingered within. Once they departed, Richard fell silent with me. Not for hours. He sat in front of the glowing screen as I tended to Lily, soothing her to slumber, tidying the kitchen, and folding the laundry with care. It felt as though I was invisible. At the stroke of midnight, I discovered him on the back porch, gazing into the void. I spoke with sincerity yesterday, my words slipping out softly as I addressed him. He remained facing away. "You turned me into a jester. You cast a shadow over my existence, leaving me feeling like a specter in the world." At last he turned. "Do you believe you've become a martyr in this moment? Is that all there is?" I shook my head. "Numerals. But I'm ready to step into the light." He let out a harsh, mirthless laugh. "You shall remain right here. It is essential that you have me by your side. There is no employment for you. There are no savings. There is no plan. It seems you find yourself in a predicament." He spoke with a serene assurance, as if it were simply an undeniable truth of existence. Much like the force that pulls us down. I gently shut the door, the soft click echoing in the quiet, before I returned to the comfort of my bed. And for the first time, I allowed myself to envision a life devoid of his presence. As dawn broke, I set about crafting my lists. No need for grandiose lists. Not about finding a way out or bringing him down. There is truly nothing comparable to that. Only the essentials. What I must embark on to endure. A tale of a bank account. Summary of qualifications. Once upon a time, in a bustling world of laughter and play, there existed a magical place known as daycare. It felt like a dream, as if I were orchestrating the steps of another's journey. Yet, each bullet point unveiled a fragment of understanding. I had walked the path of a graphic designer long before Lily graced the scene. Once upon a time, a new life began. Independent. Little patrons. Unremarkable, yet reliable. It had been more than a year since I last engaged with design software. Richard expressed that it was not needed for me to engage in work. He earned a decent living, but really, what sort of mother would abandon her child with unfamiliar faces just to create logos for vegan bakeries? Once more, I found myself downloading the software anew. In hushed tones. In the stillness of the night. The first moment I lifted the lid of my laptop, tears streamed down my face. Not due to feelings of sorrow. Yet, it seemed as though I had reclaimed a fragment of my essence. A true gem. Not the version of me who meticulously folded towels or recalled the specific pacifiers that brought Lily comfort. Richard remained oblivious. Or if he did, he chose not to inquire. He began to arrive home in the late hours, reeking of whiskey and the unmistakable scent of department store cologne. He claimed it was all about connections. I refrained from asking questions. I was already familiar with the cadence of deception. On a Thursday, Lily found herself battling a fever. I reached out to Richard while he was at work. His assistant responded. "She's not well," I said. "I must escort her to urgent care without delay." A moment of silence lingered in the air. Then Richard's voice, sharp and frigid, cut through the air. "You've got this under control. What prompts you to reach out to me for every little thing?" "I am not," I declared, taken aback. "This is the first time I find myself in a meeting." With a soft click, the moment was captured, a fleeting sound that echoed in the stillness. I secured Lily in the car and found myself sitting in the clinic for 3 long hours, all by myself. When the nurse inquired about her father's arrival, I replied no. He is occupied. As the night enveloped the world and Lily drifted into slumber, I took a quiet moment to open a new bank account. I found myself with $184 from a client who, in a twist of fate, overlooked the cancellation of their auto payment. It felt like a treasure waiting to be uncovered. The following week, I set out on a quest, applying for 2 freelance jobs, each a small project waiting to be explored. They offered mere pennies, yet it mattered not to me. It was undeniable evidence. Evidence that I remained capable of action. That I could still become something remarkable. A client of mine, a woman named Nancy from Colorado, reached out to me with a message after I delivered her logo. What a stunning sight this is. You truly grasped my desires. Gratitude flows from my heart. I gazed at her words, letting them linger in my mind for what felt like an eternity. They were straightforward. Yet, it seemed that gratitude had eluded me for months. Perhaps a span of years. Richard hardly uttered a word now. And when he did, it was brief, to the point. "Lily is in need of additional wipes. Our supply of formula is running low. Clear out the fridge." One night, as I folded laundry, he strolled in, clutching a shirt that had escaped the iron's embrace. "You're becoming careless," he remarked. I gazed upon him. Truly gazed. Time had not been kind to him. His mouth bore creases that deepened with every condescending word he uttered. I remained silent. "I've just returned to the dryer." He lingered for a moment, perhaps anticipating an apology. Yet I did not extend an invitation. Because I had ceased to be a mere object in his space. 2 weeks after Lily's fever, I landed a job that offered more than all the others put together. A complete transformation of a website for a non-profit organization nestled in the heart of Vermont. It may not have sparkled, but it brought with it genuine deadlines and tangible rewards. Above all, it arrived with a sense of honor. Under the cover of night, when Lily had drifted into her dreams, I dedicated my time to it. I would cradle a cup of feeble coffee, pouring my energy into my work until my eyes felt the sting of fatigue. It was a challenge, yet it bestowed upon me something that Richard could never reach. Flow. I began to tuck away my receipts, preserving each precious coin. Once upon a time, there was a journey of selling old clothes online. Whispers of stillness. Silence reigns. I sought to keep the change from his awareness. Not at this moment. Then, an unexpected twist unfolded before me. A long-lost college companion reached out to me on Facebook. Greetings. I came across your name on a client's website. Are you still weaving tales through freelance work? Lauren, it had been 6 long years since our last conversation. Indeed, I put my thoughts into words before they had a chance to swirl in my mind. In the quiet hours of the night, when the world is still, a little one nestled in the comfort of home. Shall we share some tales and reconnect? Next week, I shall be in town. My stomach knotted with tension. Richard might not appreciate that. He had a distaste for any woman who brought to mind the life I lived before him. Yet I found myself in agreement. Our paths crossed at a quaint coffee shop nestled close to the library. A place of balance. After a long hiatus, I adorned my face with makeup once more. Not for the sake of pride. For protection. Lauren appeared nearly identical. Flowing strands of golden locks. A grin that cuts through the air. Boisterous chuckle. You look fantastic, she exclaimed, wrapping her arms around me in a warm embrace. Weary yet content. A smile graced my lips. Ah, the journey of motherhood. We shared tales of college. Friends we share. Journeys. I shared with her the polished narrative of my existence. She pierced the veil of deception. Are you all right? She inquired softly. I don't wish to intrude. You appear to be someone who's waiting for the perfect moment to exhale. I took a moment to reflect, uncertain about the extent of my words. I'm on a journey to rediscover who I truly am. Her gaze became gentle. Should you find yourself in need of assistance, genuine assistance, know that I am here for you. My company offers a stipend for daycare expenses. Occasionally, we bring on talented designers from afar. I can make your name come alive. I blinked. Would you really do that? She gave a slight nod. In our class, you shone brighter than anyone else. I always believed you let go too soon. That night, I found myself wide awake. I lay awake, gazing at the ceiling, recalling the version of myself who envisioned vibrant creative agencies and dazzling city lights, rather than the mundane reality of diapers and hushed moments. After a brief pause, I took the step of submitting my resume. I chose not to share that with Richard. It was the following week when he caught sight of a client invoice nestled in the mail. What is this? He inquired, brandishing it as if it were a warning. A transaction. For a tale? Are you engaged in your work at this moment? I have always been able to keep working. He fixed his gaze on me, his jaw tight with tension. You ought to have reached out to me. I did, I said with a steady voice. You simply did not heed my words. He stepped out of the room, silence trailing behind him. Not raising my voice. Not at this moment. That filled me with even greater fear. In due time, I turned my attention to the locks, ensuring they were secure. All individuals. Then I reached out to Lauren once more. My curiosity is piqued. Kindly remember me. In mere moments, she responded. Indeed, it has been done. Next week, an interview awaits. The conversation unfolded over the digital realm of Zoom. I donned a white blouse, untouched since the days before Lily graced our lives, and settled into that one corner of the house where Richard's essence seemed to fade away. Appeared to hang in the air. The woman who interviewed me, Dana, exuded warmth, maintained a keen focus, and showed great respect throughout our conversation. She remained silent. Let me share with you the tale of my gap year. She inquired about my instincts, my creative journey, how I harmonized color theory and the essence of identity. For 30 minutes, I stepped away from the role of a wife. I had not embraced the role of a mother. I was simply myself. As we concluded, a smile graced her lips. We shall connect shortly, but let me share this with you now. Lauren's recommendation held significant influence. The instant I signed off, I let out a breath so profound that it felt like a release. I found myself taken aback. Lily stirred on the baby monitor, and in that instant, the enchantment shattered. I gently shut the laptop, cradled her in my arms, and strolled through the house, a soft hum escaping my lips as I held her close to my heart. I found myself without the position. Not yet. Yet I possessed something far more valuable than mere certainty. Hope flickered within me. On that fateful night, Richard returned home much later than usual. Than typical. His tie hung carelessly, and his eyes shimmered with a distant gaze. Out for a drink, are we? I inquired, exhausted from the effort of holding back. With a low grunt, he expressed his thoughts. Tasks and projects? I chose not to press. He held back, revealing nothing further. He cast his gaze upon me, then swept his eyes around the room, tidier than it typically was. A candle flickers softly, casting gentle shadows, while a baby sleeps peacefully. He squinted, his gaze sharpening with intent. What brings you such joy? I am not, I deceived you. Feeling weary. He nodded slowly, as if weaving that answer into the fabric of his thoughts. Indeed, that is a sentiment worth embracing. With that, he ascended the stairs, leaving silence in his wake. That week, I received the call. A job was presented to me. Flexible hours, remote work, and a starting salary that lays the foundation for growth. Take your time to think it over, Dana said. I don't need time, I replied. I'm prepared. And I truly meant it. As soon as we said our goodbyes, tears streamed down my face. Not from trepidation. Not from remorse. From solace. I reached out to Lauren to express my gratitude. She remarked, Now you simply require a way out. There's no need to tackle everything all at once. Yet, remaining in one place is not an option. Indeed, she was correct. It transcended the mere notion of work. It was a tale woven around the theme of safety. Richard was not striking me. He had never experienced it. Yet, his mastery was a unique form of brutality. Calm and methodical, he wore a smile that failed to illuminate his gaze. The following day, I took the step to seek out daycare assistance. I reached out to a nearby women's shelter. Not to linger, but to inquire about resources, just in case. As I embarked on my quest, I began to explore the realm of one-bedroom rentals, diligently committing the prices to memory. Each night, I wiped away my search history, concealing documents within a folder named Lily's Growth Charts. I maintained a cheerful tone when speaking with Richard. The fridge was always brimming, and the laundry was neatly taken care of. Never offered him a reason to gaze too intently in my direction. And yet, on a particular night, as I strolled past his office, an unmistakable sensation washed over me. I felt his gaze upon me. With a deliberate motion, I pivoted. He sat in his leather chair, hands folded, his gaze a mystery waiting to be unraveled. You've been quite occupied, he remarked. I stood still, caught in the moment. Craft your tale. Oh, darling. You're perpetually engaged in some endeavor. Once a weary soul, you now radiate an abundance of energy. I took a deep breath. It seems I am finding my footing more gracefully these days. He gave a single nod. Equilibrium? He remained silent, leaving the air thick with unspoken words. Did not smile. As I turned and took my leave, I could feel the gaze lingering behind me. As I stepped into the bedroom, a tremor coursed through my hands. As dawn broke, I found myself awake before the sun, the events of the previous day still lingering in my mind, particularly the way Richard had observed me from his office. Lily lay in peaceful slumber, her small chest rising and falling in a gentle rhythm that brought me a sense of calm. As I poured myself a steaming cup of coffee, I took a moment to check my email, where I discovered the onboarding documents from Dana patiently awaiting my attention in my inbox. Greetings and a warm embrace to the team, it proclaimed. I gazed at those words for what felt like an eternity. It was about so much more than just a job. They signified choices. Choices embodied liberation. On that fateful day, I embarked on a daring adventure. As I gazed upon an apartment, a quaint, time-worn one-bedroom nestled on the outskirts of town, the floors groaned beneath my feet. Though the cabinets may be a bit old-fashioned, they remain tidy, secure, and easily accessible. I mentioned to the manager that I was merely browsing, yet I captured some pictures along the way. I inquired about deposits. I etched the street into my memory. Upon my arrival, Richard was found in the kitchen. His gaze met mine the instant I stepped through the door. You had ventured beyond. It was not a question. Indeed, I replied. Once upon a time, in a bustling market, there lay an array of groceries waiting to be discovered. His gaze drifted beyond me, fixating on the 2 small bags I held in my hand. It appeared rather unremarkable. It was not. Only the essentials, diapers and milk. He nodded slowly, a veil of mystery cloaking his expression. On that enchanting night, while I gently bathed Lily, I found myself lost in a soft hum. It had been ages since I last did that. I gently dried her off, wrapped her snugly, and placed her softly in the crib. And for a fleeting instant, I dared to think I might escape unscathed. Softly. Only she and I. There are no explosions. No scenes. But then, the phone chimed in, breaking the silence. Richard responded. He spoke sparingly, offering only brief, sharp phrases. With a gentle gesture, he passed the phone into my hands. It is your mother. I paused, caught in a moment of uncertainty. It had been weeks since I last exchanged words with her. Her voice flowed smoothly, yet an unsettling undertone lingered in the air. Sweetheart. Richard mentioned that you've been facing some challenges lately. He shared that you've been feeling quite overwhelmed. My breath hitched. What is it that you seek? He carries a weight of concern, she went on. He mentioned that you might be feeling a bit paranoid, perhaps even a touch of sadness lingering in your heart. That you are drifting away from him and the baby. He remarked that you are putting in too many hours. The room whirled around me. I'm doing just fine, I replied. Ignore his words. I'm merely reaching out, she expressed with caution. Perhaps you could share your thoughts with another soul? Just in case. Once I ended the call, I made my way into the living room and paused before him. You reached out to my mother? He stood resolute. She inquired about your well-being. You conveyed to her that I was unpredictable. I expressed my worries to her. And just so you know, I certainly am. I gazed intently at him. What compels you to embark on this journey? For you are caught in a whirlwind, and if you remain unaware, someone must bear witness. It was delicate, exacting, a dagger cloaked in softness. He sought to undermine my credibility, should I ever consider departing. He was crafting a narrative. Gently, quietly, much like all his actions. On that night, I meticulously printed every document, pay stubs, emails, and proof of child care inquiries, each page a testament to my diligence. I concealed them. Within Lily's diaper bag, nestled beneath the formula. In preparation for the unexpected, I carefully assembled an overnight kit filled with essentials, diapers, wipes, nourishing baby food, a fresh change of clothes, and tucked it all away in the trunk. I kept it to myself, for I understood that Richard would not allow me to slip away. He sought to maintain his grip, but I had reached my limit with being held back. The following week unfolded in a haze of careful deliberation. As the day unfolded, I found myself in a gentle rhythm, cradling Lily in one arm while my other hand danced across the screen, exploring web layouts with care. The other. As the night enveloped the world, I meticulously went over every detail once more. Secrets, financial records, concealed spots. I etched in my mind the addresses, the numbers, the license plates, and the paths leading to the shelter. I shared my thoughts with no one about my scheme, not even Lauren. Yet, deep down, I sensed that something was on the horizon. Richard's mood took a turn. He ceased his inquiries. Ceased the charade. He would hover in the doorways, observing me in silence. As I stepped into the room, he swiftly closed his laptop, a gesture that spoke volumes. He would speak of our wedding album, our future, the way one does when they are seeking to awaken the essence of your former self, the one you were destined to become. Then, on a fateful night, he returned home, a bouquet of flowers in hand. Once upon a time, there were peonies, their petals unfurling like whispers of spring, each bloom a tale waiting to be told. My cherished. It had been more than 2 years since he last brought me flowers. I thought perhaps we could find our way back to each other, he said, arranging them in a vase, as if presenting a gesture of peace. Let us return to our unity, I said with a gentle smile. How considerate. He poured us wine, settled beside me on the couch, his arm resting gently along the back, not making contact, merely lingering in the air. You've changed in ways I can't quite put my finger on, he remarked. More bustling, more secluded. With a thoughtful nod, he acknowledged the weight of his burdens. Yet there's room for you to rely on me more. If there's a problem, feel free to speak up. I gazed upon him. Truly observed. This was not an act of kindness. It was watchfulness cloaked in care. I'm all right, I replied gently. He lingered in silence for a moment too long before finally finding his words. Excellent. For I believe it holds significance that we are aligned on the aligned. As the night deepened, I glanced at my phone and discovered an app one didn't recognize had found its way onto my device. Once upon a time, there was a whisper in the air, a call that beckoned the curious and the brave. Secure track. I had yet to download it. A chill coursed through my veins. I examined the permissions. In the realm of navigation, a tool emerges, guiding wanderers through the twists and turns of their journeys. Device for capturing sound. Whispers of communication. It possessed the means to reach each and every one of them. I cast it away in a heartbeat. Then, I took a moment to inspect Lily's diaper bag. My emergency folder had vanished into thin air. I held back my tears. I carefully assembled a fresh folder, containing only the vital elements, and concealed it in a place where he would never think to search. At the very depths of the garbage bin nestled beneath the bathroom sink, a fortress of triple-bagged plastic and paper towel rolls lies in wait. The following morning, I took Lily on a little adventure to daycare for a trial run. The building radiated warmth, adorned with vibrant art that danced across the walls, and there stood a kind woman named Rosa, who embraced us as if we were her own kin. Through the window, I observed as Lily made her way toward a colorful stack of blocks, her smile brightening as she engaged with the other babies around her. For the first time, I felt a sense of liberation. I sensed a release. Later on, I found myself at a gas station, where I exchanged cash for a burner phone. On that fateful night, I picked up the phone and made a call. One I had feared and hoped I would never have to create. The intake coordinator of the shelter responded. I have a baby, I said, my voice trembling with emotion. It seems the time has come for me to depart, perhaps even this very night. She refrained from posing inquiries that eluded my grasp. "A room will be prepared for you," she promised. "Arrive when the time is right." Back home, Richard sat at the kitchen table, his phone turned face down, his gaze fixed intently on mine. He grinned, broad and misplaced. "Venturing out once more today?" "Indeed," I replied, "merely some errands." "You've been weaving quite a few of those tales." I strolled by him, unyielding as he rose behind me, betraying no hint of fear. Yet, deep within, I sensed that the moment was drawing near. On that night, sleep eluded me. I rested in bed beside him, still and silent, attuned to the rhythm of his breathing. Unwavering, serene, as though he hadn't transformed our existence into a strategic game. As though he hadn't already taken the initial step. In the stillness of the night, as the clock struck 3:14 a.m., I quietly slipped out of bed and made my way to the nursery. Lily stirred gently, then nestled back into her dreams, her small fist curled tenderly beneath her cheek. I pressed my lips gently against her forehead. As the clock struck 4, the world beyond lay cloaked in darkness and silence. I enveloped her in a warm blanket, held her tenderly, and quietly slipped out through the back door. The air cut through the silence, crisp and biting. I sensed its teeth pierce through my sweatshirt as I fumbled with the car keys, hoping the noise wouldn't echo into the night. The emergency bag lay patiently in the trunk, ready for whatever adventure awaited. The burner phone hummed to life, its screen glowing with preloaded directions to the shelter. I secured Lily in, slid into the driver's seat, and grasped the steering wheel with a grip so tight my knuckles turned pale. I chose not to cast a glance at the house behind me. It was only when the porch light flickered to life that I truly understood. He stood there, framed in the doorway, yet unshod, observing. For a fleeting instant, he remained perfectly still. With deliberate grace, he took a step forward. My foot pressed down on the gas. I didn't linger to find out if he pursued us. I was eager to hear his words, not wanting to miss a moment of the unfolding tale. I embarked on a journey behind the wheel, wandering through the hushed avenues, gliding by slumbering abodes. Each crimson signal loomed like a snare, waiting to ensnare the unwary. Each shadow sent a shiver down my spine. At 4:43 a.m., I found myself at the shelter. A woman named Rosa, not the same one from daycare but possessing that same gentle steadiness, greeted me at the door. She remained silent, her curiosity unvoiced. With a warm embrace, she welcomed me into her world. They bestowed upon Lily a portable crib, while I received a room equipped with a lock on the inside. And for the first time in what felt like years, I closed my eyes, embracing the calm that enveloped me. Uncertainty loomed over the horizon, casting shadows on the canvas of tomorrow. I was uncertain about the outcome of the custody hearings and the tales Richard might weave. Yet I was aware of this. We had vanished into the ether. We found ourselves in a place of safety. And I was not returning to that place. 2 weeks later, I found myself in a borrowed dress, microphone in hand, ready to weave my tale. Once more. Thomas had reached out. He expressed that, "Claire and I wish for you to share your thoughts. What you shared during our wedding ceremony." Whispers of it linger in the air, echoing through conversations far and wide. I nearly burst into laughter. Yet I found myself in agreement. The gathering was more intimate this time. A simple gathering after the wedding, bringing together extended family and friends who were unable to make the journey. Richard stood at the scene, a figure woven into the fabric of the moment. Indeed, he was. He lingered at the rear, arms crossed, as if I were a mere figment of his imagination. He had already started weaving his own tale of the events. That I had experienced a breakdown. That I had left him behind. He shared with his mother that I was in a facility. He recounted to me that I had taken Lily without permission. Yet, in this moment, all of that faded into the background. due to the presence of documentation. There were those who saw it unfold. I once had a lawyer, a compassionate yet formidable woman who discerned Richard's true nature in mere moments. The journey through the family court had only just commenced, and it promised to stretch on for months, perhaps even longer. Yet, what about today? Today belonged to me. With a deep breath, I embarked on my tale. As I shared my thoughts at their wedding, I expressed that marriage is truly about recognizing one another. And I truly meant that. Yet, what I held back in that moment, what I lacked the courage to express, is that there are times when you must prioritize your own reflection. For it is solely upon you to take the reins of your own destiny. A gentle hush enveloped the room. For years, I believed I was somehow diminished. That I was destined to diminish, to remain unheard, to endure. I believed that if I followed all the right steps, love would find its way back to me. That harshness was but a chapter. The chill in the air was a manifestation of stress. Yet it was not. I gazed upward. Richard remained still. Yet his jaw was set firm. I departed, I declared with clarity. It was the most challenging endeavor I have ever undertaken. Not due to a lack of love, but because I ultimately cherished myself more than the comfort of another. No one applauded. No one was required to. The stillness bore the burden of reality. I returned the microphone, stepped away from the stage. As I walked by Richard, our eyes met for the first time in months. He remained silent, for all words had faded into the void. That night at the shelter, I cradled Lily close, murmuring the same 3 words repeatedly into her gentle hair. We are unbound.